Very sad news. Loudly crying face, the painful secret of BTS Jin. Loudly crying face, the heartbreaking truth behind his smile. In the blinding glare of the stadium lights, amidst the roar of tens of thousands of voices screaming his name, there stands a man who smiles with the radiance of a summer sun. To the world, Kim Seok-jin is the epitome of confidence, the worldwide handsome, and the pillar of the biggest boy band on the planet. However, if one looks past the carefully curated images and looks deeply into the history of the man known simply as Jin, a different story emerges. It is not merely a story of fame and fortune. It is a much more human, and at times heartbreaking, narrative of a young man who spent years fighting a silent war against his own reflection, battling the paralyzing fear that he was never quite enough. This is the story of the tears shed behind closed doors, the trembling hands hidden in pockets, and the extraordinary courage it took to simply keep going. To understand the weight Jin carried, one must look back to the very beginning, long before the stadiums and the accolades. Unlike some of his bandmates who were born with rhythm in their veins or had spent their childhoods writing rhymes in underground hip-hop circles, Jin's journey began on a completely different path. He was an acting student, walking toward a university degree, living a life that was relatively ordinary. According to various media sources and fan accounts, he was not looking for the stage. The stage found him. When he was scouted on the street for his striking visuals, he was thrust into a world he was wholly unprepared for. He was placed in a room with prodigies, young men who could dance as if gravity did not exist and rap with a ferocity that shook the walls. In those early, terrifying days of training, Jin was not a star. He was a student who had to learn how to walk again. It is widely documented in various documentaries and interviews that the training period was a grueling test of physical and mental endurance. For Jin, the struggle was twofold. He was not just battling the exhaustion of 16-hour practice sessions. He was battling the crushing realization that he was starting from zero, while everyone else seemed to be at level 100. While his members practiced advanced choreography, Jin had to learn the basic isolation of his muscles. Reports from the early debut era suggest that he would often stay behind long after the others had left, repeating the same movements until his body screamed in protest, driven by a terrifying fear of being the one who held the team back. The criticism in those early years was not just internal. The internet, cruel and unfiltered, often pointed him out as the visual member, a title that carried a heavy, unspoken implication that he was there to look good, not to contribute talent. For a young man with pride and a desire to prove his worth, these words must have felt like cuts to the bone. As BTS began to climb the impossible mountain of the music industry, the pressure on Kim Seok-jin did not alleviate. It evolved. The fear of failure transformed into a deep-seated imposter syndrome. In the track Awake, his first solo song, Jin poured out a confession that shattered the hearts of those who truly listened. He sang about how he might never be able to fly like the others, how he might never touch the sky, but he would still run, struggling through the pain. This was not just a lyric, it was a diary entry. It was an admission that despite the growing success, he felt he was running a race he could not win. He watched his younger brothers receive praise for their artistry, their production skills, and their dance, while he often stood in the background, battling the quiet voice in his head that asked, "Do I belong here?" The year 2018 stands as a pivotal and painful chapter in this narrative. While the world saw BTS conquering global charts, the internal reality was fraying. During the 2018 Mama Awards, it was Jin who took the microphone, his voice trembling, and revealed to the world that the group had considered disbanding earlier that year. The shock that rippled through the audience was palpable. It was a moment of raw, unfiltered vulnerability. Behind the glamour, the pressure had become so suffocating that the dream they had fought for almost became a nightmare. For the eldest member to be the one to vocalize this pain spoke volumes about the burden he carried. He was the anchor, the one who tried to keep the atmosphere light with his jokes and laughter, yet deep down, He was navigating the same dark waters of burnout and exhaustion. However, the struggle did not end with their decision to stay together. Success brings its own form of isolation. In 2020, amidst the global pandemic and shortly after BTS achieved their historic #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with Dynamite, Jin released a song titled Abyss. In a letter accompanying the release, he revealed a truth that was difficult for many to comprehend. He confessed that while the world was celebrating their massive achievement, he felt he did not deserve it. He questioned whether he was allowed to be this happy when he felt so empty inside. He spoke of counseling, of feelings that bordered on depression, and of a desire to simply vanish into his own mind. This was not the confident superstar the cameras loved. This was a human being experiencing a profound crisis of self-worth, feeling small and hollow precisely where he should have felt like a giant. The irony of his life was cruel. The more the world loved him, the more he struggled to love himself. Yet, it is in this darkness that the true character of Kim Seok-jin shines most brilliantly. The reason he commands such deep respect is not because he is perfect, but because he refused to let the darkness win. He did not run away from his limitations. He embraced them. He worked on his vocals with a tenacity that is nothing short of obsessive. Over the years, the critics who once dismissed him fell silent as his voice evolved into the silver voice, a tone of stability, emotion, and technical prowess that became the emotional backbone of BTS's ballads. He turned his insecurities into art. In Epiphany, he stood on stages across the world, in front of millions, and declared that the one he should love in this world is himself. This was not a cliché pop slogan. For Jin, it was a hard-fought realization, a lesson learned through years of looking in the mirror and learning to accept the flaws along with the beauty. Fans and observers alike have come to realize that his humor, the famous dad jokes, and his playful insistence on his own handsomeness is often a shield. It is a way to diffuse tension, to make others comfortable, and to hide his own nervousness. He chose to become the laughter for the group, often sacrificing his own image to ensure his younger members could smile. There are countless behind-the-scenes moments captured on camera where Jin is seen cooking for the members, driving them to school in the early years, and listening to their worries. He absorbed the pressure of being the eldest, the young, allowing the younger ones to lean on him even when his own knees were shaking. This selfless dedication is a rare quality in an industry driven by ego. Even when verified financial reports and media outlets discuss his immense wealth or the accolades he has received, they often feel secondary to the man himself. The luxury cars and the real estate holdings, while impressive, are not what defines him. What defines him is the moment he decided to enlist in the military, stepping away from the height of his career with dignity. He did not seek special treatment. He fulfilled his duty as a citizen, facing the cold winters and the rigorous training just like any other young man in his country. This decision silenced the final skeptics. It showed a man who understands that true honor comes not from fame, but from responsibility and integrity. Now, as he steps into a new chapter of his life, having completed his service, the uncertainty of the future surely lingers, as it does for anyone. Yet, the fear that once paralyzed him seems to have been replaced by a quiet, steady resolve. He has spoken in interviews about his desire to live happily, to find joy in the small things, and to continue singing for as long as there are ears to listen. The astronaut has found his landing spot. He has realized that he does not need to be the best dancer or the fastest rapper to be worthy of love. He simply needs to be Jin. As we look at Kim Seok-jin today, we do not just see a global icon. We see a survivor. We see a man who walked through the fire of self-doubt and came out holding a flower. We see someone who taught us that it is okay to feel weak, it is okay to feel like an imposter, and it is okay to be afraid, as long as you do not stop walking. His journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It is a reminder that even the brightest stars have to fight the darkness to shine. So, the next time you see him smile that radiant, windshield wiper laugh, take a moment to look a little closer. Look past the glamour and the makeup. See the years of sweat. See the nights of loneliness. See the terrifying moments where he almost let go. And then see the strength it took to hold on. That is the true beauty of Kim Seok-jin. It is a beauty that does not fade when the lights go out. It is the beauty of a soul that learned to love itself, and in doing so, taught the world to do the same. The music fades. The cheers of the stadium echo into silence. And in the quiet, there is just a man, standing tall, finally at peace with who he is. And that is enough. That has always been enough.